Thank you. Okay, so we're on Ayin Aleph Amud Beis. No, Ayin Amud Beis. Where are we up to? Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph. We finished the...
It's the Mishna, Ribsiyar.
It's the Mishna, top of the element, I think. We got to the bottom yesterday.
Yeah, my iPad was on the wrong daf. Okay, sorry.
Top of Amud Aleph.
It's got to be, they have to have, I mean, Pella, how many Mishnayos start at the first word on the daf, right? Well, almost every daf is they must have rigged it. The
Aguda is working, very hard on this.
Yeah, but anyway, we got some long runs today again, so that makes the daf short. Yeah, so Zok the Mishnah, Nodra, if she makes a neder, Vihi Arusa, and she's engaged, right? So that's what we've been talking about the whole time. So when she's engaged, she makes a neder. So the father and the husband have to be made for the neder. I was actually talking to somebody that said we had this question of what's the story. Why can't you just go to a Rav and be mata the neder, right? What's with the husband and the father? We had that kasha a couple of days ago, and the guy told me, I don't know why I didn't think about it myself. It was a pashut the answer is that for the husband and the father to be made for the neder, they don't need a reason. No, when you want to go to a Rav for him to be mata the neder, you have to have a good reason. You have to have a good excuse why you're being mata the neder. For the father and the husband, there has to be no excuses. They could just be mata the neder. She doesn't need a reason. Why'd you make it? Or the first half of the Masechta, right? This reason.
When the father and the husband do, isn't that mefer? When the Rav does it matter? Correct.
I don't know if that ties in to why it change in lashon, but yeah, but that's the big difference. So here. Again, we're talking about where she got engaged and she made a neder, so now she needs her father and her husband to be matzah the neder. And this garsha by b'yoyim, but she got divorced that day, so she had a very active day. This lady, she made a neder, she got engaged. Well, we don't know when she got engaged. Whenever she got engaged, then she made a neder, then she got divorced, and then nisarsa by b'yoyim, and then she got engaged to a different man. Afilu l'meya, even if she got engaged to 100 men. So Avia Ubaila Ha'achar and Mafira Nedara, her father and her husband, meaning the last husband, could be mater the Nedarim. Why? Because meaning the last husband, how is he being mater the Nedar? It came before he was even engaged to her, right? Before he was married to her. So we said the husband is allowed to be mater Nedarim that she made before they were engaged if he does it in combination with the father. So that's what's going on here. Right. So again, she made a neder. She got divorced, got remarried, up to even 100, and obviously unlimited. The last husband can be matzah the nedarim together with the father. Now there's a kasha here. Aren't you not allowed to get married for 3 months once you get divorced? Right. Remember we had that in Yavamas Ksubas. So here though, there wasn't nisuin. There was no nisuin. So, meaning it's really, what's the reason why you have to wait 3 months after getting divorced? Because we have to know if she has pregnant, we have to know who the father is, right? So here, they're not allowed to be together. Well, actually, they probably are allowed to be together, but I mean, Mikar Adin. So the question is, do we say that she has to wait 3 months? So l'chara, this Mishnah is a proof that if they get divorced only from engagement, they don't need to wait 3 months, right? So
it just hit me what the case is. My mom hit me when
yeah,
the 100 people. She's in a business with her and her father. She's in El Paso. She's getting all these guys green cards.
Okay, that's an interesting way of.
My mom is just it came into my. I don't know.
Better plan with this lady. So anyway, yeah. So, but the question is, does she have to wait 3 months? So this Mishnah is clearly saying not. But some want to say that niskarsha is a lashon b'diavad. If she got married, then we'll accept it. But we're not lechatchila do this, right? That's why the lashon in the Mishnah is that she didn't go get married. She got married, but really, she should wait 3 months. Okay, that's that. Either way, so the father and the husband are mat neder. What's the rule? As long as she hasn't gone on her own for 1 hour, her father and her husband her last husband could be matter the neder. Meaning, when it says kol shelo yotzel l'shus atzma, means either because the father died, or she became a begeres, right? So any one of those two, that she already becomes her own entity. So until any of those things happen, she is allowed to be the husband and the father are matter the neder. Right? No big chiddush here. Right? Okay. So zok the Gemara. Minala and da'aras achron meifen nedarim sheniru la'aras rishon. How do you know that the last husband could be matter the nedarim even from the first husband, even though it's before he got married, which is what we call kaidman, right? He's being matter the neder before he was even involved with her. So Shmuel, Amar Krav, Ve'im Hayasiya Leish Nederala, right? We said this before, that it's a double lashon. Hayasiya means if she has kiddushin to a man and her nedarim are on him. Nedarim shahayu aleh kvar. The way we're darshaning from the word aleh is that nedarim that she came into the marriage with, he can be mater, right? Again, if they're married, once they're married, he cannot be mater nedarim that came in before. It's only together with the father, the husband could be mater the neder. Why? Because she was under whose jurisdiction was she under before she got engaged? To her father. So her father's being mater his half of the neder, and the husband's being mater the other half. So then that works. So then the Gemara asks, Dilma hani mili shaloi niru la'aras rishon. Maybe the only time that the last husband could be mater the nedarim that were made under the watch of the first husband is if the first husband never heard of it. He never heard of the neder, so she never told him. But nedarim that the first husband had heard, that's already that's his business. We can't pass it on to a different husband, right? Again, it can't be mefer. So the Gemara answers again. The Gemara is asking, maybe the only time that the last husband can be mater the nedarim that were made by the first husband's wedding, after the first husband's wedding / engagement, whatever it is, kiddushin, is if the first husband didn't hear about the neder. And now he's divorced, so it's not his thing. But if he heard about it, maybe it is his thing, and the second husband can't take it over. So when it says aleh, it says aleh, kra yiseruhu. The word aleh is extra. So since the word aleh is extra, it teaches you that in all scenarios, the husband is allowed to be mater his wife's nedarim from only when they're engaged, even the nedarim that were made before. Fine. So Tanya Kava say to Shmuel. We learned in a Braysa like Shmuel. Naira hamurasa. So you have a naira. She's engaged. Avio bailam afir nedara. That's what this parak is all about, right? Her husband and her father are mater neder. Ketzad shama via v'hafrla. The father heard her make a neder, and he says, "Okay, I'm nullifying it." But the husband didn't find out about the neder, and then the husband died. Right, so we had this a few times. So now, what happens when the husband dies? Does that neder get totally transferred over to the father or not? Right, fine. Then she goes and gets engaged to somebody else. Right, so her husband died. She got engaged then that day. And even if she did that 100 times, her father and her husband are mater her nedarim. That's case number one. Shama baila. That's if the father heard and the husband didn't hear, and then the husband died, and then she got engaged that day, a really busy day for her, right? And then the new husband and the father can be mater the nedarim. The second case is Shama baila v'afrla. The husband heard and mater her neder. And the father was not able to hear. I mean, he didn't hear about the neder until the father died. So Chayzer Av. I'm sorry, I touched my father. Yeah. I knew there's something wrong with what I just said there. Sorry. Right? Again, the husband heard and he was made for it, and then the father didn't hear about the neder until the husband died. So then Chayzer Ha'av, the father goes back. U'mefer chelko shel bal. The father goes back, and he can be made for the chelik, like we learned. When the husband dies, it kicks back to the father. So Amar Rav Nosson, but Rav Nosson said, Hein divrei Beis Shammai. That's Lefi Beis Shammai, right? Because Beis Shammai said that it goes back to the father. We had this two blot ago. Ava Beis Hillel, I remember Beis Hillel says, Ein yachal ha'afer, the father cannot be made for the neder without the second husband. Meaning Beis Hillel holds, right? Again, Beis Shammai holds that when the husband dies, the neder automatically kicks back to the husband and the father. I'm sorry. Again, when the husband dies, the neder kicks back to the father. The father takes over the husband's chelik. Right? Each one goes in with a half a chelik. The father has to be matir the neder, half the neder. We'll see on Amud Beis exactly how that works. But the father has to be matir half. The husband has to be matir half. If the husband dies, that his half shifts to the father. Right? But that's only according to Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel says he's not allowed to. Because once we'll see. Let's see on Amud Beis what the reason is. But again, that's a machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel whether it kicks back to the father. But my pligi, what's the machlokes? What's the machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel on Amud Beis now? So Beis Shammai Savri, Beis Shammai hold Nedarim Nami. The Bach changes this Shaniru, right? Beis Shammai says Nedarim Nami Shaniru la'orus nisroik nushus la'av. When there's a neder that the orus, the first husband, heard about, then he dies, then it goes to the father, right? Umegas gaias, and it cuts it up. It cuts away half of the neder, so therefore it can go to the father, right? Meaning, basically, what happened is when the first husband was mater the neder from the lady, he was mafer his wife's neder, Mamela, his half of the neder was taken care of, right? So that's it. He now he's done. So then when he dies, his whatever hafara he did is gone, right? Because he was mater the neder, the father wasn't yet mater the neder, but now he died. So now his hatara goes out the window. So therefore the father takes it over, right? But if he had not heard about it, according to this, if he had not heard about the neder, then it's not going to kick back to the father. Either way, so the way, because again, this whole thing works because according to Beis Shammai, we hold megas gaias that it's really split in half. You have the husband's half of the neder, and you have the father's half of the neder, right? So therefore, if he dies, it can shift over. Beis Hillel sabri, but Beis Hillel holds aviu baila achron mafira nederah. The father and the last husband can be mater neder v'loy megas gaias, but the neder doesn't get cut up. Meaning, what does it do? It's what's the lashon again? It's kalushe maklish, right? That's what we had said two blot ago or three blot ago. It weakens it. It makes it weaker. Right? So when the first husband was mater the neder, it weakened the neder, but it didn't totally get rid of it. So Mamela, since it only weakened the neder, it didn't get rid of it. So then that neder still belongs only half to the husband, and the other half, half belongs to the father, obviously, and the other half belongs to a husband, right? It doesn't belong, meaning, according to Beis Shammai, I hope I'm explaining this semi-normal. I don't even know if it sounds right to my own head. But according to Beis Shammai, we're splitting each one gets half. So if the first husband was mater the neder, so that's it. His half is gone, right? Then he gets lost, his half. So because he died. So then that half shifts to the father. According to Beis Hillel, that half it's no halves. Each one has to be mater the entire neder. When the husband's mater, it weakens it, but it doesn't absolve the neder, so the neder's still there. So therefore, when the husband dies, it's just a weaker neder that requires a husband to be mater it. And so if the first husband can't do it, then the second husband will do it, or the 100th husband will do it, right? Okay, so what is, again, this whole thing started from Tanya Kavasei de Shmuel. Was it Tanya Kavasei Tanya Kavasei de Shmuel. We wanted to prove what Shmuel's saying, that a later husband can be mater even an earlier husband's nedarim, right? So we wanted to prove that. So from here you see very clearly that according to everybody, right, that last husband theoretically would be able to be matter the nedarim. Let's say the first guy would never have been matter the nedarim. So according to Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, the last husband would be able to be matter the neder. Right? So that's the bottom line. That's what we see. Okay, how's that for a fast daf? But okay, let's do the next few lines because tomorrow's Thursday. With Friday, we'll try and that's the next couple of blot are much easier, much easier. All right, let's start the next shaila.
I was so excited. You said have a quick stop and go ahead, no problem. I thought we were going to compete with Resnick. I was so excited.
Gonna be over in 2 minutes. We'll just start it tomorrow's Thursday. Don't worry, Aaron. Don't worry. You can catch the 9 o'clock show.
Okay, good, Baruch Hashem. That's what's important.
And nobody even knows what we're talking about. There's no such thing, and everything is recorded now. There's no time. You watch it when you want. Okay. Ibailu. Then he had another shaila. Gerishin kishtika damya kama damya. Let's say she makes a neder, right? And then he divorces her. He doesn't say anything, right? She comes in, she says, I made a neder, A, B, and C. He says, you know what? I'm done with you, right? And he divorces her without saying anything about the neder. Yeah? So does that mean that that's just shtika? He didn't comment about anything. So memela, it's neutral. Or he divorced her, right? So if he's divorcing her, right, he knows that he's not going to be able to be mater her neder after they get divorced, right? So he knows that by divorcing her, he's sort of saying, like, I want you to have this neder, and he's married to her at that point, right? She comes home, she says, I made a neder, this and that. The husband stays quiet, and then writes her a get. He gives her a get with Adim, the whole deal. So the question is that like the husband saying, oh, I'm pro your neder, because he knows that he's not going to be able to be out there after he gets divorced. So therefore, he
couldn't care less about her, and she couldn't care less about him. The guy's divorcing her at the same moment. What does he have anything to do with her?
Right, but at the point,
how could he let him influence her life? What?
That's part of the problem. That is part of the problem because Lamaisa, he's married to her. At that point, he's married to her, so he has power over her. So he could have been matter the neder had he wanted to. If he wanted to be a nice husband on his way out the door, right? He could have been matter her neder. He chose not to. He chose to get divorced. That means that he's saying, I'm your husband now, and I'm pro your neder, right? And therefore he's mekayim it. And then you can't do anything about it. Now, what would be the nafkamino? It's a difference. He's divorcing her. He can't take it back, right? Oh, so what's the case? Lamai nafkamino. What's the difference? Kegoin shenodra. She made a neder. V'shoma baila. Her husband heard it. V'girsha. And he divorced her. V'hadra b'yayme. And then he remarried her that day. And now he wants to maybe... now can he be made for the neder? Like if we say that the neder, he was mekayim it, so he can't be made for it, right? Because once you mekayim, you can't be made for it. Or do we say no, he was neutral, so therefore he could be made for it, right? So if you say it's like he was quiet, matzi made for us, so when he remarries her that day, he could be mata the neder. But if you say that by divorcing her, it's as if he is showing support for her neder, then he can't be matter it. Then he can, right? So basically, the shaila is that when a guy divorces his wife and he's going to remarry her, right? He's divorcing her and he's remarrying her the same day. It all has to be on the same day because if it's the next day, it's already too late to be made for neder, right? The neder has to be that day. So he hears the neder, divorces her without saying anything about the neder, remarries her, and now he wants to be made for the neder. So if by him divorcing her, it's as if he just stayed quiet, so he could be made for the neder. He didn't say anything. But if it's as if he was Makayim the neder, then it's a problem because once you Makayim a neder, you can't take it back. Okay, we'll continue with this. The Gemara brings rayas tomorrow's daf back and forth about this. All right. Everybody should have a fine night. Yes, go ahead.
Didn't we have a Gemara in Ksubis that in Yehuda they were miyached ben Eris and Limsun?
Yes.
I seem to remember something like that. So this whole Gemara can't be going according to Yehuda. because they could have,
Okay.
if they were miyached, then they would have to wait 3 months.
Okay.
You're saying that they would be. 1 second. In Yehuda, they did what? Yehuda,
They
were.
were miyached. They were miyached ben Erison Lasuin. So if they have to wait 3 months, then
I mean,
then
so you mean them? With there, we don't know for sure if they were together. We're just chaysha that they were together, right?
yeah, okay.
Okay,
So for
fine. So you can't sell this Gemara in Yehuda. That's all.
Right, that's a good
Right.
point. Yehuda, for sure, you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
That's a good horror. It's a good horror. Yeah. What else did the horror?